license. That was 4 years ago. It's highly unlikely that any student on the 5-year plan in high school competed as a freshman in the academic competition is back again this year. Now, if some of you are storing people away who did a redshirt year, then maybe they'll be there. But that's the way it works. So basically, there's 4 courses that act on a plane. It could go down, it hopefully goes up, it might be slowed down, and it hopefully goes forward. Okay, so that's the weight, the lift, the drag, and the thrust. And there's 4 different basic contraptions that can turn the plane: ailerons, elevators, flaps, and rudders. Now, just in trying to keep this 2016 theme going, a few of the questions may be dealing more with somewhat we might call vintage aircraft with those elements, just to talk about some of the situations that Ms. Earhart encountered sometimes with their airplanes when some controlling services no longer control. It's kind of funny. I once watched a B-52 that they landed that had lost its tail, and they just used the fact it had 4 inches on the right and 4 inches on the left, and they feathered the ones and kicked the others up, and they turned. It took about 100-mile radius, but they burned out. So there'll be some things about that with controlling elements and the like. And of course, the other thing that's really big in Indiana is the Indianapolis 800. That's just a wording, we will do it metric. Okay, so that it's basically 800 kilometers, although it happens sometimes that 800 kilometers would make a difference in the outcome of the race. The rookie 2 years ago would have loved for it to be 800 kilometers rather than 500 miles, because he'd have won. He wouldn't have to go through turn 4, and that would have been nice. But we'll stay with metric units, and so on the coaches practice, the first few are just exercises. The race is 800 kilometers long. The track is 4 kilometers long. The straightaways are 1 kilometer each. Okay, there's 400 meters in each of the 4 turns, all that sort of stuff that you know, thinking. So since it's basic physics, we'll do stuff with velocity, speed, acceleration, distance traveled. There's a couple of those classic problems on there that somebody goes in the pit while somebody else is going around the track at speed. How much track distance do they lose during a pit stop? So we'll give you some time, just to do some calculations on that. Not real involved, we'll do that. We have quite a lot of relation to the forces that act on an IndyCar, particularly the ideas of this ground effects stuff, without which we would still be running around the track at the same speed that we did in 1909, and that wouldn't be near as exciting. And so we'll deal with that. That also in the turn, we get to the idea that the turns are minimally banked, but they're banked, so the force is to get you to go around the turn. And we'll give helpful information on correcting the radius of the turn, because if you watch them ride today, they don't stay right on the inside of the track to go around. They're on the outside of the back straight, then they go down into the apex of turn 3, and they wind up on the outside in the short chute. There are no chutes anymore in the way they drive the track. They've basically turned into an oval, so we'll do some problems with circular motion that way. And then the fascinating thing that's somewhat contemporary, and works with us fairly well, is the idea of this safer barrier system, which they first installed in Indianapolis. They put it on a lot of the high-speed tracks, both in IndyCar and in NASCAR, and dealing with the ideas about trying to accomplish the impulse with a longer time contact and less force, so it's better for the driver. The momentum, the plastics that Patty alluded to also allow the modern cars to fly apart and take a lot of the energy away, and so there'll be questions related to that. And so I have a page that you can't read now of references that are, like I said, I should have made them all tinier rules so that you could have seen it in bigger print. But basically, these are just some simple principles on turning the airplane and the work of making the race cars the safer barrier. A lot of extra information about that styrofoam metal combination they use in the walls. So we'll do some problems with that. But I think a standard physics textbook will get you through it, a little bit of common sense. So far, I haven't decided if any of them should be 40 seconds. In part because it depends on how many syllables there are in the question, because when the question reader has to read all the syllables, it's already 40 seconds before you get to it, and so we'll see what happens with that. And I'm still where I always was, except my email address still looks as awkward as it ever did. There's an H, and then that's an L, because of mom and dad and my brothers.